Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vinvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, and a big moment here. We try and share the screen. Share. Here we go, June 19th, which is today in Asia. Still the 18th here. And the first topic, interesting one. I hope you like it. I met an amazing person. Yes. And this is the first draft for January, February, March 2023, Hinduism Today. So it's about 6 months in the future in terms of editing. So first draft, as I've mentioned before, first draft can change a lot before the version that ends up in the magazine is finalized. Okay. I have met a spiritually awesome individual. He is able to quickly calm himself when upset, to quickly transform unhappiness into happiness, to inspire others when they are discouraged, to always find time to listen to the concerns of family and friends. Would you like to be introduced to this amazing person? To meet him is easy. And then an inserted question for you. Who do you think this amazing person is? Have you met him? Did I meet him recently and you don't know about it? I had a lot of guess. Just look into a mirror. Yes, it is you. But it is not the outer you, the body, the intellect, or the emotions. It is the spiritual part of you, the soul, the Atman, the presence of which you can sense by looking into your eyes. So that's who it is, and that's how you find the person. Most religions believe that man has a soul, a divine aspect to his existence. Hinduism, of course, holds this belief. As the Vedas say, one should meditate on the Atman, which consists of spirit, whose embodiment is life, whose form is light, whose essence is space, which changes its form at will, swift as thought. Shukla Yajurveda Shatapata Brahmana. Each of us is a soul, a divine being living in a physical body. At the deepest level, we are a pure, radiant, blissful soul. That is our spiritual or intuitive nature. We also have two other aspects of our nature, which are depicted on both sides of the soul here. So normally I would say what those are, but I wanted to ask a question, so I couldn't say what they were. Describe man's threefold nature. We use a couple of different terms, so it doesn't have to be the precise term I choose, but man has a threefold nature. What is it in your own words? Thus we can say that man's nature is threefold: instinctive, intellectual, and intuitive. So that's the one I use a lot because they all begin with IN. There's a nice ring to it. Instinctive, intellectual, intuitive. Instinctive nature describes the lower animal instincts of human nature, such as self-preservation, procreation, hunger, and thirst, as well as lower emotions of humans, such as greed, hatred, anger, fear, lust, and jealousy. This phase of mind functions automatically or instinctively. That's one of the meanings in instinctively. You smell food, you start to get hungry. It's an instinct, it's automatic. Man alone develops the intellectual mind and is responsible for its composition as he lives along through life. Intellectual nature is a mixture of man's instinctive desires and cravings coupled with the knowledge he has gained from others, from his own intuitive discoveries. Within man's intellect, he organizes a vast amount of knowledge that begins to accumulate from a very early age. 90% of this knowledge deals with the externality of the world and mind itself. Intuitive or superconscious nature is even more complex, more organized, more refined than the instinctive or intellectual phases. It is mystically known as the mind of light, for when one is in this state of mind, he may see light within his head and sometimes throughout the entirety of his physical body, if his inner side is developed enough. Otherwise, he just begins to feel good all over. His actinic energy permeates his nervous system. Its most refined essence is Satchit Ananda, all-knowing, omnipresent consciousness. The one transcendental self-luminous divine mind common to all souls. When intuitive flashes come, one knows the next thing to be done in a creative activity. Hinduism does not stop at simply asking you to believe in the existence of your soul and your intuitive nature. Question: what else does it ask you to do? Hinduism gives you practices so that you can experience the soul and its inspiring qualities on a daily basis. This is the point I often make because it's really important and it's not true in all religions, and it's also what distinguishes religion, in this case Hinduism, from philosophy. We understand the concept. Inner light is created by the friction between odic and actinic force. Great. We can get A+ on our test. But the second part is to experience it. So it just, belief alone, even though it's super correct, is not enough in Hinduism. We also have to have the experience eventually. In fact, we could say meeting and then regularly re-experiencing the truly spiritual being within you, the Atman, is what Hinduism is all about. It's a nice, simple way of looking at it. What's Hinduism all about? Experiencing my soul nature on a daily basis, and eventually on an hourly basis, and eventually on a 5-minute basis, and eventually permanently, right? That's a good one. And the wonderful byproduct of this practice is that over time, the perspective of being your soul, your intuitive nature, becomes stronger and stronger as the perspective that you are your outer intellectual instinctive nature diminishes. I think that's a great cartoon. There is the real me inside the person. Let's look at how experiencing the Atman relates to an important goal that all people are pursuing: happiness. Happiness is something that everyone wants to achieve in life. In our modern world, the popular expectation is that happiness automatically comes from achieving one's professional and family goals. Many adults have told me that they are surprised that even though they have, after many years, achieved the professional and family goals they thought would make them happy, they find they are unhappy. Swami Chinmayanandaji, founder of Chinmaya Mission, has a relevant quote. The tragedy of human history is decreasing happiness in the midst of increasing comforts. So it's a false concept of vidya, false concept that's prevalent in the modern world is all we have to do is acquire all these things and we'll be happy. So let's get really, really busy and acquire them all. And once we have them, we'll be happy. Untrue. Webster's dictionary tells us that happiness is the emotion evoked by success or by the prospect of possessing what one desires. Don't even have to have it. Just the prospect of having it can make you happy. A reflective person knows that this kind of happiness is fleeting. When we finally possess what we have been desiring, somehow the happiness soon fades. And before we know it, we are back to our dissatisfied self again, desiring something new to give us that elusive happiness. A new computer, a new car, redecorating the home. That is fulfilling for a few months, maybe a year for the home, but eventually the charm wears off. I remember presenting this idea, not in this context, but in another context, to a family I was visiting, and the wife admitted that she was unhappy that her home was too small and wanted them to get a bigger home. So, of course, you get the bigger home and you'll be happy for X amount of time, as this is saying, maybe a whole year. And then you'll be dissatisfied in some way with the new home. So we can't be happy because of what we have. The world cannot provide us with true happiness. Where then can we look? Fortunately, Hindu philosophy provides us with the answer, which is to look within to claim the spiritual happiness that is inside of us, in our inner self, in our soul, our Atman. Mundaka Upanishad presents this truth in a story. Two birds, united always and known by the same name, closely cling to the same tree. One of them eats the tree's sweet fruit while the other looks on without eating. While enjoying the fruit, the first bird moans, bewildered by his limitations. But when he beholds the other, the glorious Lord, worshipped by all, he becomes freed from sorrow. So, if you're not familiar with that story, the idea is the bird eating the fruit is experiencing the world. So happiness, sadness, happiness, sadness. The other bird is just being the consciousness of the Atma, which is a permanent inner happiness. I've given inner or spiritual happiness the Sanskrit name, Sahajananda. Sahaja means that which is inherent, innate, or natural. Ananda, as we all know, means bliss, happiness, or joy. Thus, we could translate Sahajananda as our inherent happiness. Gurudeva comments on this idea. Learn to be happy by seeking happiness not from others, but from the depths of the mind that is happiness itself. Depths of the mind, of course, by that he means the soul. Knowing that happiness is already part of our inner self, the next step is knowing that happiness is already part of our inner self, the next step is to learn how to experience that part of us that is always happy. Our religion gives us inner ways and outer ways to accomplish this. And the question for you, what are 3 ways to experience the Atma in our inner happiness? Sahajananda. 3 different approaches. The monistic or meditative way is to turn within in meditation, go deep into the lotus of the heart and experience our inner self, our inner light, our spiritual energy. That makes us truly happy. That's a wonderful way. This is the way Paramaguru Yogaswami describes in his song, and saying that if you practice Shiva Dhyana, meditation on Shiva, daily, you will enjoy happiness in your inmost soul. And the thought that the well-being of others is your own will flood your heart. So that's beautifully translated there, what we're trying to say. You will enjoy the happiness. Where is it? In your inmost soul. How do you experience it? yet by meditating on Shiva daily. Of course, to practice meditation and to be successful in meditation are two different things entirely. When many people sit to meditate, they are unable to control their thoughts, which wander all over the place and never stop. In the successful practice of meditation, our thoughts do stop, and we are able to experience our inner self and the happiness that is always there. To be successful at the meditative approach clearly requires a lot of time and a good teacher. This method is the most advanced. There is also the theistic or devotional way. We can come to the temple and open ourselves to the blessings of the deities. We come in an unhappy state, receive the blessings, and go away uplifted and happy. Why? Because we have connected with our inner self through external worship. We have connected with the same blissful state that can be achieved through meditation. Success at this method requires feeling some devotion for the deity and concentrating or paying attention to the ceremony. In other words, just because you go to the temple doesn't mean this takes place. You need to feel some devotion and you need to pay attention to the ceremony. The importance of concentration is illustrated in this analogy. Most everyone has a favorite music, which they listen to uplifts them. However, if the music is playing and the person is thinking about something else, the music will not uplift the person. Clearly, one needs to pay attention to it for the upliftment to occur. Tending puja works the same way. If we pay attention, we receive the deity's blessings and feel uplifted and experience our inner happiness. If we do not pay attention, then this does not occur. That's a great photo. Gurudeva gave us a third way to move our awareness into our spiritual being. If you want to attain happiness, make others happy. That is a wonderful statement. Quite often we are unhappy because we are self-centered. We are in a selfish state of mind concerned only about our life, our problems, our challenges. Life is not treating us fairly, we think, so we are unhappy. What's the antidote? Do something for other people. Try to make them happy. He made an insightful statement about selfless service. Go out into the world this week and let your light shine through your kind thoughts. But let each thought manifest itself as a physical deed of doing something for someone else. So don't stop by having a good thought. Turn it into a deed. Through service and kindness, you can unwind the subconscious mind and gain a clear understanding of all laws of life. Your soul will shine forth. You will be that peace. You will radiate that inner happiness underlined and be truly secure simply by practicing being kind in thought, word, and deed. So that's the easiest way. Even young children can do that. The abilities listed at the beginning of this publisher's desk are all within your reach, meaning you. By experiencing your Atman on a regular basis through the suggested practices of meditation, temple worship, and selfless service. And experiencing the Atman not only brings happiness to you, but also brings a desire to share that happiness with family and friends. Claim your spiritual nature, your Atman, and be able to quickly calm yourself when upset, to quickly transform unhappiness into happiness, to inspire others when they are discouraged, to always find time to listen to the concerns of family and friends. Oh, that's our first topic. Second topic. See what we have here. Okay, there it is. Discernment, which is the 20th character quality. For character building workbook. And we're going to try discretion. It's the one after discernment. From our character building workbook, so we have to define discretion. You get to define 2 words. How would you define discretion? Discreet, being discreet, discretion. So we asked you to define discretion in your own words. And then reading it in the workbook. Discretion means being tactful and prudent in one's conduct and speech. I express it by honoring others' privacy and handling delicate situations with prudence and diplomacy. Opposite is indiscretion, also known as privacy. And quote from Gurdjieff, confidentiality is keeping confidences or information told in trust. Secret, not divulging private or secret matters. Second quote, you cultivate confidence by not prying or seeking to know information, by keeping records, notes, and other material entrusted to you securely protected, by not reading material or listening to conversations known to be private. Comparing the actions of one who is discreet to one who is indiscreet. First situation, when discussing a friend's delicate personal matters, you. Discretion, do so in private to ensure no one will overhear. Indiscretion, speak with others present, not considering the consequences. Second situation, knowing that a certain matter is to be kept confidential, you. Discretion, do not share it with anyone. Indiscretion, might be tempted to share it with others through social media. Third situation, knowing about a friend's drug abuse, you. Discretion, restrain the urge to include it in your autobiography and blog. Indiscretion, add it to a chapter on the subject of drugs, thinking it may help someone. And reflection, take a moment to identify a few ways in which you could improve indiscretion. And the assignment during these 2 weeks in sharing sensitive situations, be extra careful to choose your words thoughtfully and to respect confidences entrusted to you. Third topic is a very short one. Answering a question sent to satsang@hindu.org. Always welcome more questions. If willpower is like muscle, then can we lose it if we don't exercise? Someone can't spell exercise. The answer is yes, if you do so on a large scale, not if you miss one task. In other words, if you stop getting up early to study for school, stop exercising, stop skipping the junk foods in a meal, the cumulative effect is you will have less willpower for any task. So you have to skip a lot of things for the willpower to go down. So comparison here. Imagine willpower as a water faucet that is in the middle position. In other words, average water flow is coming out. Stopping each of the activities mentioned is a small twist, turning it lower. A lot of small twists adds up and the regular water flow is now less. So it moves very, very slowly, but if you stop doing a lot of important things, it's definitely going to reduce your overall willpower. And of course, Opposite is true. When you start doing them again, you get your willpower back up over some time. And then if you add more things, then you can increase the willpower even more. So comparing it to a muscle is a wonderful image that Gurudeva gives us. Okay, so looks like I succeeded on sharing the screen. Oh.